Alright guys, so welcome to today's video. In today's video we will hopefully finish this move we have worked on in the last episode. Yeah, so I think it was this one, okay? So we are going to clone the Shockwave, and then we are going to, just make it expand. And while doing so, we will make our character, do some kind of animation so that we actually create the illusion of, having created the move. Alright, so the move's name is going to be Lion Song. And so let's begin. So we will need to create another if statement, which is dedicated to our Lion Song move. And now we will need to drain some stamina, so make sure to, drain some, okay? So those are the first requirements. So draining the stamina and making the player unable to move and unable to jump. Now the next thing is about the animation. So we are now going to copy this line of code. So sword, attack, enemy. Now we can either clone one of these. We are going to change the animation ID anyways, so it does not matter at this point. Now let's take the loader because we have to load this animation and we need to play it. And now the next thing we are going to do is that we are going to clone this Shockwave and we are going to position it inside of us, let's say, and then we are going to expand it via Tweening. And then we are going to detect everything which is nearby. And that's the point where we are going to deal the damage, okay? So we're going to deal damage to all of those who are nearby that Shockwave when it goes down, okay? So let me call this Shockwave X. So I'm going to create this variable which is going to refer to the replicated storage. So replicated storage. Now wait for child Shockwave, and we're going to clone this thing, okay? And we're going to put this inside of our character. So make sure that the Shockwave at this point is anchored and that can collide is true. And make sure that, so the transparency is at 0. Okay. Now, let's give it a C-frame, and the C-frame is actually the position at the end. So, it is going to be at our humanoid. So, we're going to take our root part's C-frame, okay? And, the root part is like... is in the root of us, in the root of our character. Therefore, it makes sense to, position the Shockwave to where our root part is, because we want this thing to start expanding from our root to the outside. Okay, so that's the first thing. Let's make this or let's test this whole thing out to see how it is going to work out. So Lion Song, and as you can see, we already have this Shockwave right here. Now we only need to make it expand and lose transparency or fade out. And it would be cool if we would be able to rotate this thing, okay? But I'm not sure about the rotation. Anyways, we are going to use the tween service now. So I'm going to create a variable called tween. And we're going to refer to the tween service, first of all. Tween service. And we are going to make use of this create function. And so this create function right here requires 3 parameters, 3 arguments. The first one is the instance you're trying to apply this tween onto, which is of course our Shockwave, because our Shockwave at the end is the instance which is going to fade out, which is going to expand, and so on, okay? So that's the first thing you should be aware of. Now, the second thing is called tween info. And those are just basically some settings you want to apply onto your tween, okay? And by settings, I actually mean the wait time, so the time where this whole tween just goes on, the easing style, the easing direction, and, so there are many things. So the first thing is the waiting time, the wait time whatsoever, so the time in which this whole thing just, happens. Let's use one. The second one is easing style, so enum easing style. I always use linear, I don't know. Now the second thing is the easing direction. I always use out onto this one. Now, the last one was like, no, wait, the next one was, I think, some kind of loop. I don't know. Just put it as 0. The next thing was about repeating the thing. Just put it at false. And the last one was some kind of delay, so put 0 there as well. Okay, now the third argument right here is going to be our tween goals, let's say. Okay, so if we speak of tweening, we want an instance to, you know, move from one spot to another, or to move from one status. And if I speak of status, I actually mean some kind of collection of certain attributes, okay, such as the transparency, the position, whatsoever. So if we theoretically think of it, so our first status in this case would be that our transparency, for example, is at 0, okay? So let's just take this as our status 1. Now, our status 2 would be that the transparency is at 1, which means that this whole thing is fully transparent and you can see through it, okay? Now, we have status 1, means the thing is visible. Status 2, the thing is not visible. Now, what does tweening do? Tweening basically fades from status 1 to status 2, so that you actually see a fade and it just looks so beautiful to your eyes, okay? So that's basically the whole purpose of tweening. You can also do this for other properties. Transparency was a cool option because, you know, so the transparency is directly visible to your eyes, and therefore I wanted to use that as an example. But there are also other properties you can apply this whole thing on. For example, when it comes to positioning or to, yes, or to the size, then you are able to see the difference as well. And yeah, so that's the whole point of tweening. And I've just told you guys about my ideas for this shockwave. So the shockwave is going to expand. So if we speak of expanding something, then we want to manipulate the size. So the first property right here, which we want to manipulate, is the size, okay? And inside of those curly brackets, you're actually adding the goals, means the second status I've just tried to explain to you. And yeah, so the goal in terms of size is our current size, so our shockwave's current size multiplied with, I don't know, let's say 3, okay? Alright, so that's the first goal. Now, I told you guys that it should be able to expand. To fade out means that it is losing, that it is being more transparent to the point where you can fully see through it. So transparency equals 1. Now, I have also talked about rotation, and I'm honest with you, I'm not sure about that point. I would first of all like to test this out before we actually move on with the rotation, because that could be a little bit more complicated, and I'm not even sure if this is going to work out with this whole tweening right here, but we'll see, guys. So let me use this move, and as you can see, this thing is basically expanding and just fading out. Okay, so everything what I wanted to do. Now, we could do the following. So we could do C-frame equals X C-frame multiplied with C-frame angles math rat 360 0. Let me just test this out. Let me see if it works, and if it works, then I'm gonna explain you the idea behind of that. Okay, did not work, probably because it is 360. So let's use 180. Maybe that will work. Okay, that worked out. So let me explain you the idea behind of this. So when it comes to the C-frame right here, you can not only determine where this part is, where this instance is located, you can also determine the angle of that instance, and that is basically what C-frame at angles does. So we are telling the tween that our goal, our C-frame goal, is our current C-frame multiplied with a certain angle. So we are basically just manipulating the angle at that point, and the angle is, yeah, just 180 degrees on the y-axis, which basically just, you know, instead of having it this way, you'll have your shockwave this way. So the script basically tries to rotate the instance, the shockwave, like this, okay? While it is fading out and while it is expanding. So that's basically what it does. Okay, and that's actually it for the shockwave. We now need to create one easy animation, and we also need to yeah, create this whole damage thing, and then we are over. Okay, so let me just take one of these animations. Let me see if they actually fit into this. Let's see. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Let's create our own, but before we do that, let's actually move on with the damage dealing part, because that is yeah, way easier. Let me see if I have already created something like that. So basically the damage system which I have in my mind currently. Probably not, but okay, I did not do so. Okay. So what we are going to do is that we are going to loop through the workspace, okay? Get descendants. And we're going to literally get every instance inside of that workspace. So not only the dummy, so all of that superficial stuff, we are also going to get everything inside of the dummy, and everything inside of the anim saves, and everything inside of the humanoid, and everything inside of here, and everything inside of here, and everything inside of here, if there would have been something inside. Okay, so basically every instance. Okay, so that's the whole point of that. And, well, yeah. We now should check whether V, first of all, is a mesh part, and V parent find first child humanoid. So let me explain you what those requirements are, or what the idea behind that is. So the first requirement, basically, once the instance we are looping at, or we are currently at, that instance is a mesh part. Okay, you may ask why, because if we take a look inside of those character models, we usually have mesh parts which represent the body parts. Okay, so that's basically the idea of the first requirement. We could have also left this out, because the second one is the essential requirement, and this requirement right here ensures that we actually have a humanoid inside of the model, okay, inside of the character model. So this requirement is so strong. Let me explain you why. So v.parent basically expects this instance to be inside of something, to be inside of a model maybe, or inside of another instance whatsoever. Okay, so that's the first idea behind of that, and this, of course, fits into the scheme of a character model. So that's the first thing. Now, the second thing is that there has to be a humanoid inside of the same model or instance, okay? And if we speak of a humanoid, we are approaching the area of character models, you know? And yeah, so that's the reason why this second requirement right here is important. And if we have a humanoid, then we are also able to deal damage to that certain NPC, person, player, whatsoever, okay? Now, what we want to check as well is that the next requirement is going to be whether the body part is a part of a character which has a root part, okay, which has a humanoid root part. Why is that important? Because we have to calculate the difference between our position and the position of that body part of that character, of that enemy whatsoever. Okay, that's the reason why we need this humanoid root part. We could have also done the position difference calculation whatsoever, so we could have done that with our body part we have right here, which is our V as well, but I prefer using this humanoid root part. So if all of these requirements are met, then we can do the following. So if the position of our enemies, enemy in quotation marks, humanoid root part, minus our humanoid root part's position dot magnitude is not greater than 10, then we are going to deal damage. So then we can go inside of here, and we could just basically take all of these and yeah, just edit some things. So for example, the sound, we could also, yeah, just do it this way. Instead of hum animator, we have to do it this way. So we need to use v parent humanoid instead of hum. I hope that this is clear. And we also need this cooldown value, and we need to, yeah, deal damage to this thing. Now instead of hit, you have to write v. So this part right here is responsible to increase the defense stat for the case that we are fighting an actual player, okay? Alright, and this is it. So we now need to add one easy animation right here, and then we're basically done. Humanoid root parts is not a valid member of. Okay. Yeah. So there was a typo. Come on, where is it? Yeah, it is right here. So let's remove this S, and then let's check how this is going to look like. Yeah, I've just basically killed myself, and okay, let me show you how you can avoid this. So we need to add one more requirement, and that requirement is that the parent name does not equal our player's name. That's basically what this requirement right here expresses. I've totally forgot to add this requirement. I don't know why. Okay. So we are sadly only able to deal damage to one person. Let me see why. Okay, so let's create one animation at this point, and then we are going to end the video. I'm just thinking about just, yeah, I might just actually take one of those animations right here. So let me try out this one. Let me see if this is fine, because if it is, then I'm gonna quit working on an animation at this point, because this channel mainly should deal with scripting and not animating. Well, okay. Looks pretty funny, so let's rather use this one, and then I'm gonna end the video. Okay guys, so that's it for the video. If you have enjoyed it, then leave a like, subscribe, share this video to all of your friends. Leave me feedback in the comment section, guys. Take care and see you in the next video. Also, we have now finished the swords, and you guys should know what that means. We'll hopefully move on with devil fruits within the next episodes, guys. I love you, and, see you in the next video.